All right. A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Garin, and today I'd like to present you about the oral presentation for my research project with the title Analyzing Year 5 HJKC Pupils Communications of Ideas in Journal Writing. All right, and as we know, every research is begin with a research problem, right? So as you can see from my title, it's about writing in the primary school setting. And so we need to think about actually what is our ultimate objective for the teaching of writing. In fact, it is stated in the DSKP that pupils should be able to be the independent and authentic writers who can actually produce pieces of writing which is from their own ideas but not the imitation of others. But what is happening now here in our Malaysia context is that our education system is too exam oriented. So we are not like making and educating our students to become a writer, but in fact, we produce a bunch of test takers who are expert in merely memorizing the model essays. And I guess you and I are just the product of it. All right, and just as the evidence to this problem is, we can see from Nabila is that pupils are unable to write from their own ideas. And this problem has actually causes another consequences that when these primary school students, when they grow up, when they enter the tertiary education, they are actually found to be having low critical thinking in their academic writing. And coupled with the tension with the exam system, pupils now actually, most of them are always suffering from the exam anxiety, which eventually actually deteriorate their language performance. So looking at this problem, actually what is the gap to this issue? We found out that actually it is the practice, the writing activities that is conducted by the school teachers that do not expose the students to free writing, which is the real writing that makes the pupils to be independent and authentic writer. In view of this research is going to look at is journal writing, which is claimed as one of the best way to practice free writing, could it somehow shed a light for the education language teachers to be able to use this maybe is as a right stimulus to help the pupils in producing more authentic pieces of writing. So this research is aimed to know the impacts of providing this journal writing activity in activating the Year 5 HJKC pupils' ability to communicate their ideas in writing and their perceptions towards journal writing. Here are my RO and RQ. The first RO, the research objective is to investigate the use of journal writing in activating the pupils' ability to communicate others' ideas in writing. And the next objective is to explore their perceptions to journal writing. And so the relevant RQ would be, how does the journal writing activate the ability to communicate ideas in writing? And what are their perceptions towards journal writing? Okay, so here's the context, like an introduction to my study. There are three constructs here. The first one is writing as a thinking process. Writing is not just coding on the paper, but it is a thinking process. And David McCullough even said that to write well actually is to think clearly. And writing actually is a reflective activities that require enough time for the writer to think about the specific topic. And at the same time, the writer is actually constructing to his own background knowledge. So it was said by a few researchers that writers, they are actually forced to think critically on what to write and on how to organize their ideas when they are writing. And the next construct here is about communicating ideas while writing. So there are two ways of communication of ideas in writing. One would be interpersonal communication. As we know, interpersonal is about how you talk with others, but now it's while writing. So it's about how the writers actually explain and rationale his thinking, his thoughts to the others through writing. And for another way around, which is intrapersonal communication in writing, is actually an reflections of one thought or his observation through writing. So it says that it can somehow increase self-understanding and concentration. The next construct is about journal writing as an authentic writing. We mentioned about authentic writer earlier, but what actually is this authentic writing means? It actually refers to we are teaching the writing skill where the learner's interests are recognized, and when they are exposed to a situation where they can produce an authentic writing. The situation mentioned here would be when they are writing with an authentic audience in mind, in which that they are not just writing for writing, but they are writing with a purpose, with a real audience in their mind. So in this progress, actually the fluency of expressions can somehow be developed at the same time, as the grammaticality of the language is not the focus in journal writing. Alright, and now let's take a look on who are the participants in my research. There are 3 participants, and they were actually selected based on homogeneous sampling, in which that they actually share the same age in this context. They are from year 5 classroom in SJKC, and they even possess the same writing proficiency level, in which that they are considered as the proficient writer in their class. Okay, it's just to avoid the critics of mixing apples and oranges, so that it's fair to see everyone's writing pieces. And how do I actually collect that data? I'm doing this through 2 ways. The first one is through document analysis. The document that I was analyzing is their written journals. As we know, during our practicum phase, the first month is face-to-face interaction, right? So the pupils, they are actually given freedom to write at least one and up to as many as they want every week. And they actually submitted their diary book on every Monday before the CMCO. But when it came to during the CMCO period, they actually sent in their journals in a photos form. So they actually snapped a photo and sent it through WhatsApp to me. So here's an evidence for that. All right, and then for another data collection method, which is interview, it was actually conducted on Zoom meeting, and is on a one-to-one basis, which the participants actually came to the Zoom meeting room individually, and each interview was recorded and transcribed into the written form verbatim. All right. For data analysis, I actually follow the Brown and Clark 2006, the 6 steps framework. Okay, so basically, I will explain both at the same time. The first step for both data sources are actually the same, which is that I analyze the data by familiarizing with it first. So for the document, I read and reread. For the interview, I watch and rewatch for a few times, and then transcribe it on Microsoft Word manually, because I didn't use any built-in program or whatever, so I consider it as manually do the coding, but it is on Microsoft Word. And after that is about the coding process with color coding, that I actually highlighted the relevant dialogue, the segments from the transcript, and moving on to sorting the different colors of codes with the potential possible themes, and then refine again the themes, and finally come up with the final themes and do the finding. So now we are looking into the findings of what I have found from analyzing the data. Firstly, let's take a look for document analysis. There are altogether 7 themes that I found out from the written journals. So basically, this table is just showing the same 7 themes, and now I'm going to look at the themes one by one and explain to you. Firstly, we will be looking into the observation and reflection, which is the themes here actually are the ways of how the student communicate their ideas in their journal. So as we can see from this table, the label 1 there actually means all 3 participants, they actually use the same way. They did this in their journal. Let's see how they did it actually. From from different participants, they actually do this in different ways. Like for participant B, his observation is about his whole day, his whole busy day. So he wrote about what he had in the morning, in the afternoon, and at night. It's all about his online classes. For participant M, his observation is actually on his family's members' activity. And I was really surprised to see that he can actually list down all the items that bought from their grocery shopping with his family. Okay, so it's about observing the family's activities in detail. For participant C, on the other hand, she actually recorded about the weather that she was experiencing at that moment, and also about the family activities, like who was there at the same time and who was not around. So basically from this, the first thing we can see that what the students write is actually a reflection from what they observe in their life. All right, moving on to the second theme, which is about giving insight. Giving insight here is a bit something go beyond from what they observe, because the observation part, which is in green parts just now, it actually means they are like just reporting on what they saw. But this one, let's see. The first quotation from participant B. This is one of the worst years in the whole history. Okay, so obviously this is based on what maybe he saw it from the news or the people surrounding him, and he has this new insight that, and with some of his background knowledge, you know that this is really the worst year in the history. So this is what he have made something about his insight. For participant M, is about he was actually making an anticipation here, which is that besides for only writing what they bought for during the experience of shopping, but he wrote here, so we bought some mooncakes so we can enjoy it during Mid-Autumn Festival. So he was actually writing about some future events, which means that he was not merely reporting, but he could actually see the future things through his writing. All right, and then moving on to participant C. Here is about she writing about a conclusion after she had online classes with the school teachers, and she could even concluded that it was a successful one. See, we learned the knowledge in the online class successfully. So this is how the students, they actually give insight through writing their journals. All right, and next we are looking into how the students actually express their feelings, which is our third theme, where all three participants actually use this way to communicate their ideas as well. For participant B, it's interesting to note that how they actually show their feelings. Like for participant B, he used the capitalization of the letters, like, it's hell, when will this end? Okay, so coupled with the exclamation mark there, we can see he must be very angry and could be frustrated by that time when he wrote that. And for participant B, what was his feeling? He was actually experiencing a painfulness in his stomach because he was having a stomach ache there. And with the adverb very there, we can actually somehow like feel him. It shows the degree of his pain on his stomach. Okay, and then moving on to participant C, the feeling that she showed in this entry is quite special because she was actually displaying different levels of feelings. The first one is, I was forced to wake up. This somehow shows that she was unwilling, the unwillingness that she was experiencing. And next, her mood changed again by showing the word delectable when she ate her mother's made waffle. So see, the changing of mood is actually shown all in her entry. And this is interesting to see how they actually express their feeling through writing. Okay, after that, we are going to look into another theme, which is about extending a view from the students. Yes, only participant B contributed to these themes, but he wrote 2 entries there to show this. They are quite similar. The first one is the entry I showed earlier. It's about the pandemic, and he actually made a concluding sentence that I hope everyone is okay. And for the next entry is about his happy experience going to his cousin's house, and he also make a wish there, a good wish. I hope everyone is having a great day too. So you see, when they are writing, they are not just reporting, but they go something beyond that. They can even make a good wish, extend a goodwill in their writing. Okay, and now we are moving towards about the inner talk for the students. Okay, this is about the student actually questioning himself. I do love Taekwondo, but and also let's see the last sentence. I'm sure I'll get used to it. So the student, they are actually, he was actually like comforting himself that I will get used to it. Okay, so this is how he actually talked within himself in his talk. And after the intrapersonal, now we look at how the students actually interact with the reader. Like this one, you will know in the next page, even with the emoticon of blinking eyes. So the writer actually pick up the skill that how to interact and create the suspense element with the readers. Okay, and after that, we look at giving opinion. How did she actually give opinions? By saying that we better stay at home obediently. So she was like giving an advice from what she had observed there. Okay, so a little conclusion that we can draw from this first data source is that there are three main themes which all three of them contributed to it. They cannot run away from writing based on what they observe, and then they reflect, and at the same time they give some insight and also expressing their feelings at the same time. And now we move on to the second finding from the interview. There are two themes: writing journal as an asset and writing journal writing as a liability. Okay, so for this, this is the initial thematic map. All right. And after that, I have also actually refined it, and we will see it later. And okay, let's look at the first interview questions first. Like when they are asked about do you like journal writing as an additional activity for you? For participant B, what he showed is actually, yeah, I like it. But you see the yellow color highlighted part, is their responses are actually very divergent, very extremely different. Okay, the first one is I like it. The second one is I hate it. The third one is okay, I can accept. So I concluded that there are positive, negative, and a neutral views about journal writing. And then when they were asked about their feelings while they are writing their journals, so it's quite relevant and in line with the first questions, because the one who said, yeah, I like it, and now he was actually exploring himself in the journal. He said that I was like talking to myself. But for the second participant, he said that I just feel sleepy. Okay, so it is actually still relevant to what he said just now because he hates it, isn't it? Okay, and for the third one, her answer here is actually quite inclined to the negative side because she feel like, I feel stressed because I got no idea to write. Okay, and then moving on to the next interview question, when they were asked about, are you free to express your thoughts? Okay, so the responses here are actually quite interesting to see because it's a bit contradict to what they responded earlier. For the one who enjoyed journal writing, but he said that not really, I don't really feel free to write my ideas in the journal. But for the second one, interestingly, the one who hates it, he actually feels the freedom to write it. Okay, and for the third one, this is quite remain on the same stand, which means that sometimes okay sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. Okay, and moving on to the next interview questions, when they are asked about, are you helped to solve the non-academic problem? Okay, it's good to see that, all three respondents, the participants, they actually responded that, oh yeah, I enjoy it and I actually find the happiness when I was writing there. Okay, so when they are asked about the last questions, are you helped to solve the academic problem? Okay, and we could see that it's still in line with their responses earlier, that when the pupils, they are the active participants, he actually take advantage of journal writing and he built up some benefits from it because he feel like, yes, I gained confidence to write after that. And then the second one is, I don't know, the third one is, quite contradict because he said that I was stressful because I don't have ideas, but now he got more ideas to write. Okay, so with all the interview code, I actually developed to become there are 4 sub teams, and then finally came up with the last 2 main themes in which that there are 2 divergent perceptions. One is thinking it positively as an asset, another one is as a liability. Okay, so this is how they actually feels about journal writing. Thank you. Any questions, please?